Right now, there are so many rumors that are swirling around the Seattle Seahawks. Who could they be trading for? Who could they be trying to sign in free agency? It just feels like at any moment the bubble is about to pop. Will John Schneider make a big trade before NFL free agency starts, or will the Seahawks already have a edge rusher brought in on Monday? But before we get into any of that, breaking news. This comes to us from Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network. The Seahawks and starting linebacker Drake Thomas have agreed to terms on a 2-year deal. It's going to be worth $8 million on the base and has a chance to end up making $9 million. Look at those stats. I'll tell you right now, Drake Thomas was a diamond in the rough that Seattle went out and found. Mike McDonald turned him into a great player in the 2025 season. Played fantastic for the Seahawks, was able to get a bunch of sacks as well as TFLs. He can cover really well. I don't know why other teams didn't want him. It's just because I guess he's a little bit short. What an absolute steal for the Seattle Seahawks. This kid is a beast, and I loved everything that he did for the team this year. In my personal opinion, Seattle knocked it out of the park, found a way to bring him back while also not overpaying for him either. Great job by John Schneider. Make sure that you hit that sub button. We're racing right now to catch up to our Knicks Now channel. We had them. They were right within our grasp. They were able to pull away. We're going to bring them back in. I'll tell you that right now. Hit that sub button. Share the video if you have a friend who has not subscribed to the channel. First rumor that we're going to hit on today's show, of course, is going to revolve around Maxx Crosby because he is the belle of the ball right now. And it does feel like there is finally going to be a big-time trade with a team going in and signing Crosby. Jordan Schultz had this report earlier, and I know it's hard to say the Schultz name in Seattle, but Jordan Schultz is pretty plugged in, and it's pretty clear that the Maxx Crosby trade is going to happen. It feels like the Maxx Crosby trade is going to happen at any moment, and I believe that this trade will actually be made before NFL free agency starts because whoever trades for him, they're going to have to make sure that they sign him. The question is what is it going to cost to get Maxx Crosby into your building and to make sure that he stays with your team? The Raiders are asking for a lot of money, and I understand why they are doing that. Diana Rossini of The Athletic had this to say. Based on several conversations with league sources, the Raiders have not moved off their asking price of 2 first-round picks and a player. Is that too much? Before we continue on with the rest of today's video, here's what I've been trading on over at Poly Market. During Seattle's playoff run, Poly Market had Seattle as a 75% chance to get a win over San Francisco. I thought that the value here was sneaky good. Seattle had just beaten San Francisco, and Seattle seemed like the hot team during that postseason run. So for those reasons, I came in and I took Seattle at 75% chance to win this game. $100 wins you $33 if Seattle took the dub. Plus, with Poly Market, you can trade in and out of momentum shifts without getting blocked or penalized. With in-game trading, once the Seahawks got up, I could either ride it all the way out or I could sell early. For example, if you buy at 75% and then you sell at just 90%, you can snag yourself a cool $20 payout, which is awesome, obviously. You can't do this with traditional sports books, so get started today. Poly Market is legal in all 50 states. Download the app now and get to the top of the waiting list. The only way to do that is by clicking my link in the description and comments. Now, the big trade right now going with Maxx Crosby that everyone has kind of said this is what the Seahawks would probably be giving up comes from 12th Man Rising. That's where I saw it first, but I do know that it's been out for quite a while now, and the expectation is that the Raiders would get the Micah Parsons deal. 2 first-round picks and a player, and it does look like the Raiders could potentially want Derek Hall to come in as an edge rusher. Now, when I look at this deal, to me, that is too much. Obviously, we had cooked up a different deal earlier with Mitchell Renz, the Raiders Report host that we have here, where it'd be the same picks, but it would be Tyrese Knight. Doesn't feel like that's going to be enough to get the deal done. And to me, when I look at this trade, I think that it's going to be too much. But I'm going to ask you right now, what is your opinion of this trade for Maxx Crosby. Is it too much? Yes or no? Let me know down below in the comment section whether you would make this trade to get Maxx Crosby with the Seattle Seahawks. Getting Maxx Crosby is not going to be easy for this team. Obviously, the Cowboys, the Lions, the Bears, everyone is still involved. And because all these teams are trying to get him, that does mean that price is going to go up, up, and up. Because at the end of the day, the Raiders want to make sure that they get the most bang for their buck. But also, Maxx Crosby, he's going to make sure that he goes somewhere where he can be a winner. It does feel like the organization and the player are working together to kind of make sure that they have a smooth ending of their relationship, just in case Maxx Crosby wants to come back later on. Now, Adam Schefter ended up going on the Pat McAfee show earlier today, and he had this to say on Maxx Crosby. I think the Bears have checked in on Maxx Crosby, but I don't know if they will be able to get it done. Everybody is sniffing around, and we're waiting to see if the Raiders decide to move Maxx Crosby. Feels like it's only a matter of time. The question isn't when, it's, I guess, if, it's when. And the question really is not going to be when is he traded, but to whom he is traded and whom he is traded for. The next big rumor that I want to dive into is here on Jonathan Greenard, fantastic edge rusher for the Minnesota Vikings. And it does sound like he is going to be on the trading block. Now, this comes to us from Corbin Smith, does a great job of covering the Seahawks. And it does sound like the Seahawks have called about that edge rusher in Minnesota. And right now it looks like somewhere between a second rounder and a day 3 pick is the sweet spot for Greenard. Now, I think that's a little bit high when it comes to the total value that Seattle would potentially have to give up to get Greenard, especially when you look at how many draft picks the Seahawks actually have. In my opinion, it would make a lot more sense if the Seahawks ended up giving up a player, but I do think that Greenard would fit well in Seattle. When you look at the stat line for Greenard, he's obviously a high sack guy when he stays healthy. And the problem with Minnesota isn't necessarily his level of play on the field. It's just more so they don't have a ton of cap space, and so it doesn't make sense necessarily to hold on to Greenard. I think that he would fit extremely well in Seattle, and I think you'd see a lot of success had for him and for this Seahawks defense if he did decide to come in, and we know that the Seahawks need some edge rusher talent. We're going to look into some different edge rushers, but some guys that are more free agents right now instead of potential trade rumors after I let you know about this sweet Seahawks Today t-shirt. If you're a real one, you want everyone to know how much you love Seahawks Today, you can go grab a shirt right now. We've got the blue and the black, only $24.99. Support the show and support us here at Chat Sports. Super comfy as well. We're still selling the St. Patrick's Day merch as well. You can join Jerry B and the Seattle Drinking Team. We've got the green and the blue as well. Super affordable t-shirts, and it can go great with this Beers hat. We love it. Everyone loves drinking beers responsibly. Only $24.99. Obviously, you know I'm a big hat guy. Love the trucker hat type of look. I think that they look freaking sweet. Now, I understand some of you are saying, hey, will those hats and the Drinking Team merch get here or get to me in time for St. Patty's Day? Yes, it can, but you got to use what we're showing up on the screen right now. That's that express shipping. Only going to be $5. Very, very cool deal that we've got going on, but it's only going to be for a limited time. Now, remember, the express shipping only pertains to our Drinking Team merch and our Beers hat. Would not include Seahawks Today. So if that's something you're interested in, just making sure you know that. We're going to have the links to all of those in the comment section and description of today's video. All right. Now we're getting to dive into the free agent rumors. And the big one right now is Trey Hendrickson. And I actually think there's going to be a lot more momentum rolling forward for Trey Hendrickson being a Seahawk. And if you end up seeing that this deal becomes official, I will be claiming that I am Nostradamus. Because Trey Hendrickson would fit perfectly into this Seahawks defense. He is great still at getting after the passer while also doing a fantastic job of stopping the run. Now, I understand when you look at the 2025 stats, they're not great. I'm not going to sit up here and pretend that Hendrickson absolutely balled out this year. That would be a lie, and I do not lie to you, the people of Seahawks today. But it's important to look at the games played. 7. He was hurt. He was beat up. And I understand that he's on the wrong side of 30. But if you're able to keep Trey Hendrickson healthy, which I think the Seahawks have shown that they can do, Uchenna Nwosu and DeMarcus Lawrence, 2 of the healthiest years that they've had in quite some time, they balled out. You're telling me I can get a Trey Hendrickson that's a slightly better version and a slightly younger version? Hell yeah, I love that. This is a guy who had 17 and a half sacks 2 years in a row, just 1 year ago. So yeah, I want Trey Hendrickson. He fits well in the Mike Macdonald defense. Why? Because he doesn't just do one thing. Macdonald wants guys who can stop the run as well as the pass. We're not looking for Von Miller types, right? We want guys who can get after the run game while also getting after the passer. Trey Hendrickson is a terrifying defender, and he would draw a lot of focus while also fitting into Macdonald's defense because he is unselfish. He wants to go somewhere where he can win a title, and I think that he could win a title with Seattle. I also believe that Hendrickson fits into the payment, or I guess the salary cap space that the Seahawks have. You're going to have to pay a lot of money to extend JSN and to extend Devin Witherspoon. You're going to have to pay a decent chunk of change to get Trey Hendrickson. But I think that the Seahawks have the space to do it and would do it. Hit that thumbs up button if you want the Seahawks defense to get even freaking better next year. Now, we're going to look at the next player that could be added to the Seahawks defense. And I'll tell you right now, he's an older player, but I find him ultimately fascinating if he ended up coming to Seattle, and that is the great Khalil Mack. Now, it was made clear earlier on this offseason from Ian Rappaport that Mack was not going to retire. Now, when you look at Khalil Mack, you might say to yourself, well, he's really old. If Trey Hendrickson is kind of flirting with the line of being a bit too old, Khalil Mack's going to be real old. He's on the real wrong side of 30. But I'll tell you right now, with the Chargers, he's someone who still gets a lot of work done, able to get after the passer, does a great job of stopping the run. I mean, he's 2 years removed from a 17-sack season. Probably not going to happen. But I'll tell you right now, Khalil Mack is someone who could easily add into this defense, especially if DeMarcus Lawrence ends up actually retiring. Now, I don't believe that DeMarcus Lawrence is going to retire, and I would not go out and necessarily sign Khalil Mack as the replacement to Boye Mafe. That just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But if DeMarcus Lawrence ends up calling it a career, one, hats off to you, sir. Congratulations on a fantastic and potentially Hall of Fame career. But Khalil Mack, he could come in and he could be a big-time performer for this team. You're not going to ask him to be Khalil Mack back when he was on the Raiders or when he was on the Bears. You're asking him to be a similar version of DeMarcus Lawrence last year. I don't see why Khalil Mack couldn't do that. Let me know down below in the comments section, do you agree with me? I believe that DeMarcus Lawrence will be playing for the Seahawks in 2026. I don't see a retirement happening, especially since I believe he's got a shot at running it back and getting his second Super Bowl. Let me know if you agree or disagree down below in the comment section. Very fascinating on what you have to say. Now, there's not as many rumors around this player with the Seahawks because, well, he was just kind of informed that he would not be returning to his former ball club, and that is Cam Jordan. Another player who's a little bit older, but I would say someone who's had a lot of success in the last year. In fact, when you look at a lot of the players that are going right now, potentially linked to this Seahawks team, he had the best year last year. Over double-digit sacks. Now, he did play for the Saints, so that means that teams were not throwing nearly as much as you might think against the Saints because they were up big. But Cam Jordan can still clearly ball out. He's not washed. He's not done yet. Now, I don't necessarily know that I see this happening, but depending on the price tag, I don't see a reason why the Seahawks would not potentially bring in Cam Jordan, especially if they miss on a couple of their other opportunities that they were really looking at and potential players that they were looking at signing. Now, I understand that these, at the end of the day, it feels like we are just kind of beating around the bush on what could potentially end up happening. It does feel a lot of what ifs right now, but these are the big rumors that are facing the Seattle Seahawks, and I find all of these players ultimately fascinating, and I would love if the Seahawks were able to bring in one, and I believe that the Seahawks will bring in at least one. It does feel like it's either going to be Maxx Crosby or Trey Hendrickson. Make sure that you hit that thumbs up button if you loved today's video. We always really appreciate you here. Thank you so much for hanging out with us on Seahawks Today. And if it's your first time hit that sub button. What are you doing? Subscribe to the channel. We're going to have you covered throughout the year of 2026 on the Seattle Seahawks, especially since NFL free agency is right around the corner. You're going to want to hit that sub button so you don't miss any of the news. Thank you guys so much for viewing today's video, and I can't wait to see you next time.